Hello everybody. This video is to show you how to do a single mat. And I have two pieces of artwork right here that I'm going to kind of talk about. I have this print and then I have this mixed media piece with pencil and color pencil and maybe a little bit of marker on there. So I have these two I'm going to kind of play around with, and this is just for a single matting. I need a frame. I would highly encourage you to bring in your own frame because you're going to create a mat specifically for this piece. And if you have a frame at your house, once you're done with it, you get to take the whole thing home with you and you have a piece of artwork already matted. If you don't or you can't, that's fine. We'll supply that. But ask, mom or dad or grandma and grandpa, see if anybody has a frame. You'd be surprised, what we have, in our closets, kind of thing in terms of what you may be able to use. And if not, running over to Walmart or running over to Goodwill to find something is something to really start thinking about when you're at your level, because this is how you finish the piece. We do a lot of this kind of for you in terms of having a pre-cut mat, when you're level 1, level 2, you'll still use these a lot, but in order to kind of take that next step with the art, presentation is so important to bring out all the good quality stuff that you did, with your piece. And it just makes it look that much better. So I have that, and also I have my mats. Our most common one is black. These are just dropouts or cutouts. So I get these from our local framer, who's Cindy Shave Studio and Custom Framing. So she always gives us the pieces that fall out, of a mat, and then we get to use them for our project, so it does save us a ton of money. So I have that, I have the artwork. Now we need to do the math, so as your math teacher probably says to you all the times, like math is everywhere. Math is an art. So we're going to go over. I'm going to bring the iPad with me, and we'll figure out some measurements. Okay, thanks. Okay, I have a scrap sheet of paper here I'm going to use. So there's a few things I need to know. First off, what's my frame size? So I'm going to write down frame. And then I know the frame that I have is 12 inches by 16 inches. And then I also need to know the art. Now, there's two different kind of art pieces that I have, and I want to talk about both of them. Because on this one, we want to include as much as we possibly can because the artist went all the way out to the border. And this is where you also need to start thinking about when you sign your artwork, you don't want to sign right on the bottom down here because when you mat it, you're going to lose that. So you want to always make sure you go in and you sign, more on the inside of the piece, as you're working. So I'm going to say art. Let's see here. With no edge, and then I'm going to say art with edge. So this one's going to be a no edge because I want to see everything that I can. So this is 12 inches by 9. Now this one does have an edge. I don't need to go all the way out to here. I want to just have, this part here shown. So what is that? So we are looking at, it says 9 3/4. And I'm actually want to include a little bit of the white. So I'm actually going to go up to 10 inches. And I don't want to work with fractions. And by 8. So that's an 8 by 10. Okay, so we have two directions that we're going to go here. So I'm going to take this one first. Doesn't have to be to scale. Okay, so this one's going to be this. This one is going to be this. Now, the constant is that the outside here is going to be 12 inches. This is going to be 16 inches. Okay. So now this is the part we're going to cut that out. It's going to pop out and your artwork's going to sit there. Now your artwork needs to be a little bit larger than that hole. Otherwise it's going to fall right through. If I was to take this piece of artwork and I was to cut a hole, that's 9 inches by 12, it's going to fall right through. So the hole has to be smaller, like 8 by 11. And then it will hold in place. Now, taking a 1/2 inch off is a lot. you can imagine if I took a 1/2 inch off on here, I mean, I'd almost basically lose, you know, this entire thing here. So you want to go to about 1/4 of an inch, you know, they would lose. So the inside here, so again, this is the no edge. This is this one. This is the one that we want to keep as much artwork on there as we can. We need to subtract a 1/2 inch from this. So then 1/4 of an inch is that's going to be hidden on one side, 1/4 inch is going to be hidden on the other side. So this measurement here is going to be 8.5 because 1/4 inch plus 1/4 inch is 1/2. 8.5 plus 1/2 is 9. And there's your 9. Now this is supposed to be 12, but again, 11.5 is right there. So again, that is if you have something with a no edge. If you have an edge where you drew on the inside and you have area that you want to crop off, again, you measure what you want to keep, okay, and then you run with that. So maybe you have even if you have an area over here you don't want, you can crop that off with your mat. So this right here is with the edge is just saying that I'm flexible. You know, I want to cut out a window that's exactly 8 by 10 because that is the area that I want to be shown. So then this is 8 inches. That's 10. And again, this is 12 by 16 inches. Okay. So now when we look at from here to here, this is 8.5 and this is 12. So we need to find out what my measurement is from here to here. So 8.5 plus this equals 12. Well, let's start math. So 12 minus 8.5. So I got 5, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 3.5 is my total. So this width and this width equals 3.5. So half of that is 1.75. So 1 3/4 of an inch is my thickness of my border. Okay, because 1 3/4 plus 1 3/4 is 3.5. 3.5 plus 8.5 is 12. Okay, so I know that's this measurement. You know, 16, you know, in here. So again, this segment here is 11.5. What is this segment plus this segment? So I take 16 minus 11.5. So 5, so that's 4.5. And then I want to divide that in half. So that's 2.25 or 2 1/4. So that's 2 1/4 here, 2 1/4 here. So if you are doing the one with a no edge, where you want to see the entire thing, you have to take a 1/2 inch off. Okay. So at that point, you don't need to watch the rest of the video me talking about this, and you could skip this one if you're going to do the other way. Okay. So why don't you get your sheet of paper out? You know, figure out your frame size. You know, do this drawing. You do need to turn this in for points, because I will show you how to use the mat cutter here, but I also want to be there when you do it the first time. But I want you to figure out the math prior to us kind of talking. So good luck on that part. Okay, so this one is with the edge. This is, again, having a piece that, you know, I only want this shown. I don't want this shown, so I can take my exact measurement of something and run with it. And this is where, again, I can crop. Maybe I don't want to have this. Maybe I want to just have this showing. So I'll go to 6 inches here and maybe 9 inches there. So maybe it's a 9 by 6. So you have with that way, you have a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can play around with your measurements, okay? And this is going to be easier because of the math, because it's just whole numbers. So again, segment here is 12 inches. This is 8 inches. So what is this plus this plus this would equal 12? Well, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 4, you know, divided by 2. So this is 2 inches here, 2 inches here. So from here to here, this is 2 inches, and then 8 inches, and then 2 inches. Good. And then this is 16. This is 10. So 16 minus 10 is 6. Divided by 2 is 3. So this is 3 here. And 3 right there. Okay. So as of right now, you can tell right away that if you go in and you crop, you know, your piece or whatever, and you get away from the habit of going all the way to the edge of a paper, or you're okay with, you know, cropping, you know, stuff out of here, then you can have a lot more flexibility with this. Okay, so I have my 2-inch border here from my left and my right, and my top and bottom should have a 3-inch border, and that'll have a hole cut out at 8 inches by 10. So again, figure out which direction you're going to go, and let's go back to the paper cutter or the mat cutter, so I can show you how to use it, and you can cut out your mat. Okay, now that I have our measurements written down on this sheet of paper, and I have my artwork, I'm going to select my mat. Mat boards are in our across the hallway in our supply room there. If you go in, look to your left, the very first cell that's there has a bunch of mat board in there. So the big thing is you got to make sure you have something big enough for the frame that you brought in. So my frame is going to be this one. And again, this is 12 by 16. These pieces that I just got black, which is our kind of a normal one. It's larger than that, so I'm good to go with this next part. Over here is where I keep the mat cutter. So I stick it right here. I'm going to pick it up. And then this top part right here should be close to you because you put your mat board against there. So I'm just going to lift this up, put this on this table, and I'm going to kind of angle the camera down so you can see what we're doing. Okay, so this is our cutter. I have this on a table. If you do notice, I do have a bed sheet on this, of which I'm going to keep with this. And you want to make sure with matting, you really want to make sure that you have a really clean surface. And you know what? We're in an art room, and it's not extremely clean in here. So we do need to let something down on here, so we're good. So the first one I'm going to cut, and I'll do 2 demonstrations with this. You don't have to watch both of them if you don't want to. Is I'm going to start off with our the one with the no edge, where that's this one again, where I wanted to make sure that I want to see everything possible that's on here. So I'm only going to go to 1/4 inch in all the way around. So first thing on this, and I can zoom in so you can see this a little better. This right here is our straight cutter that we use this first to get the outside measurements, which are 12 by 16. Yours might be different, but you use this one first. And this blade here is when we do our beveled cut. So this is the one that I want to use. Alongside here, I loosen this up. I'm going to do a 12 by 16. So I line that up. The arrow points to where the number should be. And then I'm going to bring my mat over here and cut this. So I'm going to take my mat board, push this up, make sure that this is down here. I'm going to drop this all the way down, put my other hand kind of on top of it. My leg is against here. I'm going to pull this towards myself. When I get to the end, I want to be a little careful because sometimes you can hurt your finger because you'll let it go and it'll hit this way too hard. So just gently finish off your cut, okay? And then your fingers will be fine. And it's not like you're going to hit your finger on a blade. It's more that you just hit metal against metal and it kind of hurts a little bit. Bring this over to 12. Bring this back up. Drop this down. Drop my blade. Bring that in. So now I have a 12 by 16 board. The next thing is that looking at my drawing, I'm going to be cutting out a square here. So the measurement from this side to the inside here is 1 3/4. So this is where you start using the measurements here. Now I have like 1 1/2. I don't have quarters. Maybe by the time you watch this, I might go and do that. But I'm going to line this up and do 1. Keep this out of the way. Use the ruler that's on there. There's 1, 2, there's 1 3/4. Make sure that is as straight as possible, and I might draw a line. I'm just using a pen. You can use a pencil, doesn't matter. Flip this all the way around, do it again, 1 3/4, because that's my border. And now my other border is 2 1/4. So I'm going to go 2 1/4. And 2 1/4. What I like to do is I like to take the artwork itself and then I line it up and I make sure that my square that's in the inside corner should be a little smaller than this. And it is, so that's good. When I measure this one, I just double check that, and that one is also fine. If this line was the same size as this, then we have an issue and we have to go back and redraw. So I always double check that. So also notice, I forgot to mention, I did draw this on the back. you don't ever draw in the front, and you draw your lines on the back. Next, we're going to use the bevel cut. So I'm going to lift this up. Now with this one, let's see if I can turn this a little bit more so you can see it. Is I want to just barely, I want to see that line and just a little bit of the inside as well of the color here. So I don't want it directly on that. Just give me a little bit of space. Next, I'm going to bring this up. Now if I can zoom in, I'm going to show you it has a red dot and like a shelf above it, and then a green dot, which is like a step below. So red means stop, green means go. I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to try to keep that with a green dot and that line or that shelf above it. This line that I drew should be, in line and on top of, the line that I drew. Okay, so when I start my cut, that shelf above the green, you should see that line, and then I'm going to pull this, and then I'm going to stop when that line is above that shelf on the red. So I'm looking over top of it directly. I'm going to drop this all the way down. That's the biggest thing that most people forget. Both hands. This is easier to pull, but don't forget to stop at the red. Now I'm looking at it, my red dot is there, and the shelf above it, that line is in line with that. I'm going to pull this up, and then you should be able to, if you can see that, I just cut a nice bevel shape. Okay, do that again. Just see a little bit of the inside. Drop at green, stop at red. Do it again. Drop it all the way down at green, stop at red. And you can already see it's almost gone. It's almost all cut out. Drop at green, stop at red. And then it should fall out. And that's why they do call these fallouts. Now I can take this, I have my project right here, and then there's your mat. And then it's just something about matting. Again, it just kind of finishes up and just makes your project that already looks really good even better. Now we just have black. Well, I take it back. We do have other colors. We don't have every color because there's so many out there. But there might be times that maybe you don't want to use black. Maybe you did like a pencil line drawing and there's a little bit of red in there and you want a red mat because you want to kind of pull that color out a little bit. So you have those options. So once you have this done, next thing is to flip it over. Make sure that it's centered, and you're going to grab some green or blue tape. Just tape it one spot. You don't need to go all the way around it. And then that'll secure it in its place, and then you do what you've done before. You put it in your frame, and then you're all done with it. So good luck on that part of the project, and let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to do the other one as well, so you can see how that one works, but it's the same. So with the second project is the one that is this. And remember, what's nice about these is that you have a lot of flexibility on your measurements. So I took the measurements from around here, but again, I could crop a lot of this excess space down here and just focus in on the head. So you have that, again, that's another really cool thing about matting is you can direct people to the areas that you really want to kind of pay attention. So again, 16 by 20. I'm already at my, 12 by 16, I'm at my 12 right there. Drop this down, do my single cut, nice and easy as you leave off of that. Switch this over to 16 inches. Bring that down, drop and cut. And now my measurements on the outside. So on this one, it's 2 inches on the sides and 3 on the top. So I line up my ruler with the edge. So there's 2, 3, 2, and 3. Double check your art. That looks good there. Looks good there. Flip this over. Oops. I need those lines. Give myself a little bit of a buffer. So I see that line and a little bit of the white underneath. Drop at green, stop at red, turn. Drop at green, stop at red. Drop at green, stop at red. Drop at green, stop at red. Hang on to the fallout or just give it back to me. Set your artwork down on there. And it fits beautifully. So tape it on the back, put it back in the frame. Good luck on this. Remember, I do want to sit down with you with this. So when you are ready and you have your map, that tells you the measurements, come get me so I can just double check things and make sure you're understanding it right. And I hope you enjoy this because it is a really cool tool to learn how to use. Other than that, good luck on it and talk to me if you have any questions.